Hey there friends, Katie here from Shangri Gardens. Since you're not able to come to us, we wanted to come to you. Today we're going to go on an adventure out in the swamp. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the plants and animals that live there. Follow me. A swamp is a forested wetland. And if you watched our video on Adams Bayou, you know that the swamps in southeast Texas are characterized as cypress tupelo swamps, meaning the very tallest trees are either cypress or tupelo. So as we're on our exploration today, I want you to notice all the biodiversity that we see out here in our swamp. That means that there are a lot of different types of plants and animals that call our swamps home. As we're out in the swamps at Shangri Gardens, I want to show you 3 different types of vegetation that you're going to see out here in the swamp. Now, the swamps are made up of many different species of plants, but I want to talk about 3 specific ones that you can easily identify. The first one is arrow arum. And arrow arum is a native plant, and it's really easy to tell which one is arrow arum because it has a very distinctive shape that looks like an arrowhead, hence its name. Remember it like that. Arrow arum looks like an arrow. The second plant that I want to tell you about is one that you might see at your house, and that's called an elephant ear. Now, elephant ear is native to Southeast Asia, but you'll see it out here in the swamps in Southeast Texas because seeds get picked up and carried in from different flooding events. And so you will see elephant ears all throughout the swamps here at Shangri Gardens. The third plant that I want to show you is one of my favorites, and that is the Texas star hibiscus. And the Texas star hibiscus is native to many southern states in the United States. You'll see it out here in our swamps. You'll know exactly which one it is because it has beautiful magenta flowers. So remember, swamps have a lot of biodiversity, meaning they have a lot of different species of animals and plants, but that's just a few that you're going to be able to easily identify. Whoa! I found a big hole in the ground! Just kidding, it's a turtle nest! When you're out here in the swamp, you may find something that just looks like a hole. But when you look inside, there might be some pieces that look like this. That is actually a turtle nest. Now, if you remember, turtles are reptiles, meaning they're cold-blooded. Turtles also have that hard shell called a carapace and that hard underside called a plastron. So turtles lay eggs, and what the female turtle does is digs a hole, and then she lays her eggs and covers them up. And the outside temperature actually determines whether or not her babies are male or female. The colder they are, that means they're male, and then at a warmer temperature, that means they develop into female turtles. So really interesting. But as you're out in the swamp, if you come upon one of these holes, and you might see eggshells that are curled up like this. This lets you know that this turtle nest has been predated. So a predator came along, knew that there was delicious turtle eggs in there, and had them for lunch. So if a turtle baby hatches from its egg naturally, the egg will split in half and kind of look like what a chicken egg looks like when you make your breakfast in the morning, those nice clean cuts right in half. But if you find a hole with these curled up little shells, that means something has made the lunch out of that turtle's nest. Whoa, friends, I found the home of one of my favorite things to eat, the crawfish. Let's take a look at this crawfish chimney. Crawfish are crustaceans. Now, most crawfish are aquatic, meaning they live completely in water, but some crawfish are semi-aquatic, meaning they live on land, but they also need to be in the water. So the result is these crawfish chimneys. So the crawfish will burrow into the ground until they get to the water table. They have to have water in order to breathe because they have gills similar to something a fish might have. So they have to have that water in order to breathe. So the crawfish will dig down into the ground, roll these into little tiny balls, and build this long column chimney. Now, the chimney basically serves as protection for the crawfish. So this is a great surrounding fence to protect his home. So the crawfish is down in that hole. How deep it is, we don't know because he's completely underground, but as far down as that water table is. Now, crawfish, they say, are about as big as the opening to their chimney. I don't know if I believe that though, because I've seen crawfish chimneys that are sometimes 2 inches in diameter, and that would be a really big crawfish. Talensiousneoides! That's the scientific name for Spanish moss. You'll see Spanish moss hanging on a lot of the trees out in the swamp. Now, Spanish moss is kind of a deceiving name though, because it's not Spanish and it's not moss. Spanish moss is actually a bromeliad, which means it's in the same family as a pineapple or a succulent you might have at your house. Spanish moss is also not from Spain. Spanish moss hangs out on a lot of the tree branches here, and sometimes people think it's parasitic, meaning it lives off of the tree. It actually doesn't. Spanish moss is just simply hanging out there because it's a great spot to live. Now, Spanish moss, being a bromeliad, that means it gets all of its water and nutrient needs right from the air. So it's a really good indicator of air quality. So out here in Southeast Texas, when you see a lot of it, you can breathe deep because you know you have good, clean air. Okay, friends, today we talked all about the swamps. We learned about some of the plants you might see. We talked about the great biodiversity, how many different species of plants and animals that might live in a swamp. We even saw a few of the animals that make the swamp home. All right, challenge time. I challenge you to make your very own wildlife habitat in your green space. If you can go outside and use natural materials and make a home that you think an animal might want to live in. If you don't have an outside green space, that's okay. Make one inside using the things that you have. Whatever works. Just try to design your own home for wildlife. We miss you. We're proud of you. Stay curious.